On Christmas Eve 2002, a pregnant woman named Laci Peterson walked out of her home in Modesto, California. She never came back. Her husband Scott reported her missing that evening. He stood in front of cameras, eyes wet, voice cracking, the picture of a devastated man. The community rallied. Vigils were held. Her face was on every television in America. But detectives noticed something almost immediately. Scott Peterson didn't act like a husband who'd lost his wife. He acted like a man who already knew she wasn't coming back. Over the next 4 months, investigators would unravel a web of lies so cold, so calculated, that even hardened detectives said they'd never seen anything like it. This is the story of Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant, adored by everyone who knew her, and murdered by the one person in the world who was supposed to protect her. And this is the story of how her killer almost got away with it. Laci Rocha grew up in Modesto, California, a warm Central Valley town where everybody knew everybody. Her friends called her magnetic. Her family said she never met a stranger. She met Scott Peterson at a restaurant in 1994. Handsome, charming, an easy smile that drew people in. They fell in love fast. By 2000, they were married. They bought a house. Scott ran a fertilizer business. Laci tended her garden, cooked for friends, substituted at local schools. By summer 2002, she was 8 months pregnant with a boy they planned to name Connor. From the outside, the perfect couple. But Scott Peterson was living a secret life. In November 2002, 1 month before Laci vanished, he began an affair with a massage therapist named Amber Frey. He told her he was single, never been married. He painted a future, travel, romance, a life together. All of it, while his pregnant wife slept in the next room. When Amber later saw Laci's face on the news, when she realized the missing pregnant woman was Scott's wife, she did something that would change the entire investigation. She called the police. December 24, 2002, neighbors recalled seeing Laci walking her golden retriever Mackenzie in the early morning, relaxed, calm, happy. Scott told police he left for the Berkeley Marina at 9:30 a.m., a 90-mile drive, to go fishing. He said Laci was home when he left, watching Martha Stewart. He came back that evening to find the house empty. Mackenzie was in the backyard, leash still on, muddy paws, as if the dog had returned from a walk alone. Laci was gone. Scott called Laci's mother Sharon at 5:15 p.m. Sharon drove over immediately. One look, empty house, dog found alone, Scott's eerie calm, and she knew. She called 911. Police arrived and started asking questions. Scott's answers were odd. He didn't know what Laci was wearing. He couldn't confirm when he'd last seen her. Cooperative, but flat. Emotionless. When asked where he fished, he said San Francisco Bay. The Berkeley Marina, cold, choppy, a place he had never fished before. He'd bought the boat just 2 weeks earlier and told almost no one. Why would a man with a pregnant wife, days before Christmas, drive 90 miles to fish alone on an unfamiliar bay? That question would haunt investigators for months. The answer was more chilling than anyone imagined. Within days, detectives had a suspect. They needed evidence. Detective Al Burkini interviewed Scott the night Laci vanished. From the first moment, something was wrong. Scott was too calm, too rehearsed. When shown a photo of Laci, pregnant, smiling, Scott's face barely moved. Most husbands can't even look at a photo like that without breaking down. Scott looked at it like a man reading a menu. Police tapped his phones, followed him, and what they found was staggering. While volunteers walked fields in the rain, calling Laci's name, while Sharon Rocha wept on camera, while candlelight vigils burned across Modesto, Scott Peterson was calling Amber Frey dozens of times, sending gifts, making plans, telling her he loved her. On New Year's Eve, 1 week after Laci vanished, Scott called Amber from a candlelight vigil held in Laci's honor. He described the candles, the grieving crowd, then told Amber he was in Paris. That single lie told investigators everything about who Scott Peterson really was. But character isn't evidence. They needed a body. On April 13, 2003, 108 days after Laci disappeared, the Bay gave up its secret. A decomposed body washed ashore near the Richmond Marina, miles from where Scott had gone fishing. The next day, a second set of remains. A woman and a male fetus. Laci and Connor. Scott Peterson was arrested 2 days later, April 18, 2003, in a golf course parking lot in La Jolla. Police almost didn't recognize him. He had dyed his hair reddish blonde. He carried $15,000 in cash, his brother's ID, multiple cell phones, and a map to Amber Frey's house. He had $500 in Mexican pesos in his pocket. He was a man preparing to vanish. The grieving husband from the press conferences was gone. In his place, a disguised man with fake ID, heading toward the Mexican border. When detectives told Scott that Laci's remains had been positively identified, he did not cry. He did not break down. He asked, calmly, what evidence they had. The arrest made national headlines. Crowds surrounded the Modesto house. Sharon Rocha released one statement, justice for Laci. But the road to justice would be long, explosive, and deeply controversial. The trial began June 2004 in Redwood City, moved due to massive pretrial publicity. It was one of the most watched trials in American history. The prosecution had no murder weapon, no witness, no video, no confession. What they had was a mosaic. The timeline, forensic analysis found no evidence of an intruder. The only person unaccounted for during Laci's disappearance window was Scott. The location. Scott launched his boat from Berkeley Marina on December 24th. Laci's remains surfaced within 2 miles of that exact spot. The affair Amber Frey testified for 3 days. She played Scott's own recorded voice, laughing, flirting, making vacation plans while Laci's family searched the fields. The defense argued a third-party abduction. They claimed the bodies were planted to frame Scott. They pointed to a neighbor who said she saw Laci walking Mackenzie after Scott claimed he'd already left. The jury didn't buy it. After 7 days of deliberation, November 12, 2004, the verdict came back. Guilty, first-degree murder of Laci Peterson. Guilty, second-degree murder of Connor Peterson. Sharon Rocha sat very still, then slowly closed her eyes. In March 2005, Scott Peterson was sentenced to death. Given his chance to speak, he said only, "I am innocent." The gallery erupted. He was led away. Scott Peterson has been on death row ever since, though California's moratorium on executions has kept him alive. In 2020, the California Supreme Court overturned his death sentence, not over guilt, but jury selection errors. In 2021, he was resentenced to life without parole. He still claims innocence. His family still fights for him publicly. But the Peterson case leaves a deeper question behind. How well do we really know the people closest to us? Scott Peterson coached youth baseball. He remembered birthdays. His neighbors waved to him every morning. And behind that ordinary face, he planned, with cold, deliberate precision, to murder his pregnant wife. The horror isn't just what he did. It's the mask he wore while doing it. The tears at press conferences, the vigil phone call, the dyed hair and the cash and the map. A man who lived in 2 worlds at once, one for the cameras, one for himself. Laci Peterson was 27 years old. Connor never drew a single breath. A Christmas ornament Laci had hung on a neighborhood tree just days before she disappeared stayed on that tree for years. Long after the cameras left. Long after the verdict. Some things, once broken, never go back. The Scott Peterson case changed how America handles missing persons investigations. It sparked decades of debate about circumstantial evidence, media trials, and justice. But above all, it is the story of a woman who deserved better. Who deserved the house, the garden, the baby boy she had already named. Laci Peterson deserved to grow old. If this story moved you, share it. And if you want to go deeper, there are more cases right here waiting for you. The truth, no matter how long it takes, always finds a way to surface, just like Laci did.